Hey, what is up guys, this is Cobb, and welcome to a new and updated talent builds video. For destro locks, we're going to be covering the build that pretty much every single Warlock above 2500 rated in solo shuffles is playing, and talking about why it is so powerful, and then briefly covering my own hipster build towards the end of the video. So this is the spec right here. Obviously you can find this build, the code for this, link down below in the video description, just in case you want to grab it straight away. But just to give a quick rundown of how the build actually works, let's begin with the obvious, right? This is a Mayhem centric build. Why is Mayhem good with this build? Well, because you then spec into Bane of Havoc, and as you can probably see via this example footage here of me just hitting some training dummies, you can see that Bane of Havoc is spawning constantly on targets that are nearby your primary target, right? Just in case you don't know, by the way, Mayhem reads, your single target spells have a 35% chance to apply Havoc to a nearby enemy. So obviously, if this is then converted into Bane of Havoc, you can get off like fucking 10-man mortal coils, you know? And this thing is proccing all the time. It procs very, very often, right? So you can land huge spread mortal coils. You can immolate basically every single enemy in, for example, a solo shuffle arena all at once. And yeah, that's how the build works, right? That is the main core difference, anyway, that sets this build apart. So I'm just going to kind of run through some of the main talents here in the tree as well, because some people have differing opinions on which ones are best. I think the first one that is kind of subject to opinion is the Unending Resolve talent right here. Strength of Will, you can either go for an additional 15% shield wall on your Unending Resolve, which I actually prefer. I just think that this one, I feel like in most solo shuffles, I feel like this is most useful to me personally. I found better success with this. A lot of people though, in fact, I think a small majority of people tend towards reducing the cooldown of Unending Resolve by 45 seconds. Totally up to you, totally subject to debate. The next talent people kind of differ on is the Dark Pact buffer talent right here. Dark Pact sacrifices only 5% of your current health for the same shield value. This is the one that I prefer. A lot of people spec into Frequent Donor, which reduces the cooldown of Dark Pact. Again, kind of subject to whatever the fuck you want to do, right? Down towards the bottom of the tree, we also have what I think anyway is quite a controversial split in opinion too. I've seen a lot of people specking into Soul Conduit instead of Demonic Resilience. For me, Soul Conduit, every soul shard you spend has with 2 points, this would be a 10% chance to be refunded. I don't know, dude. Not only can this not really be counted upon, I feel like you don't really hurt that much for soul shards in things like solo shuffles. Most of the time as the destro lock, you're the target, and most of the time that means that you're holding on to 4 or 5 soul shards for a long time until you have a cast window, until you have a casting opportunity, right? So there's obviously value in this, but for me, man, reducing the chance to be crit from all sources of damage by 4% just feels really, really fucking good, man. It just feels great to me. But yeah, just so y'alls know, there's a choice to be made here too for you guys. Okay, so for the main core of the spec, obviously we've already covered this, but you want to be specking into Mayhem. You want to then be specking into Pandemonium, so Mayhem has an additional 10% chance to trigger. That's really going to help out your proc rate. And there's a couple of core differences with the spec too that you want to take into account. The first is specking into Roaring Blaze over a third charge actually, of Conflagrate. Even though this is a really, really powerful talent, with Roaring Blaze, you want to be conflagrating a billion people at once and then immolating a billion people at once. And this is just going to help boost that damage by a shitload. 25% for 8 seconds every time you conflag, right? So as soon as you get a Havoc proc, you pretty much want to be immolating everything, and if you've already immolated everything, then you want to be conflagging everything and coiling everything and just spreading out that damage. To help compound that fact, we also have Scalding Flames, which increases the damage of your immolate by 25%. So yeah, you can see how immolate, with this build in particular, very, very quickly becomes the backbone of your spread damage as destro. So yeah, alright, hey boys, Cobb from the future here. Just with a quick aside, and that is if you really cannot get used to using Havoc and the Bane of Havoc playstyle, it sort of just occurred to me that it should go without saying, but I think it's worth throwing in that you can literally just switch to the old Havoc ability and then switch out this for something like Nether Ward or whatever the hell else you want to run. And that way the build is pretty much the same, except you have less spread damage and more of a focus, I guess, on concentrated bursts, because your Havoc here allows you to set things up just a little bit more consistently during burst windows. But yeah, there you go. Now, we have a very, very special talent point, which if we just pull it off of Burn to Ashes, because a lot of people only put 1 point in Burn to Ashes, you can put this point in 1 billion places, about 4 or 5, and it changes the way that the spec plays quite a bit. You could take 1 point out of Burn to Ashes and put it into Master Ritualist, because 1 point in Master Ritualist causes Ritual of Ruin to require 3 less soul shards, whereas 2 points only has a extra 2 soul shard effect on this, right? So 1 point in that can actually be pretty valuable, so you can do that shit. For some more Ritual of Ruin procs, you can put it into Grimoire of Sacrifice if you prefer playing without a pet, or if you're finding that pet management is just pissing you off, if you're finding that it's getting your pet killed a lot, having your pet out in things like Solar Shuffles is just dying to random AoE and stuff like that, you might want to go Grim of Sac. Changes your playstyle quite a bit, but there you go. So that would be Grim of Sac. You can even put a point in the Soulfire if you want to go big dick, because if you put 1 point in Soulfire, and this is just something that I recently realized on stream actually, like last week, if you put 1 point in Soulfire, the tooltip of Roaring Blaze actually changes, dude. So check this out, right? Conflagrate increases your Immolate, Incinerate, and Conflagrate damage to the target by 25%, 8 seconds. Yeah, if you put a point in Soulfire, and then actually apply the changes to the spec, the fucking Roaring Blaze tooltip changes to now include Soulfire. Look at that, dude. So that's just stupid as fuck. I don't know who the hell coded that at Blizzard, but there you go. So you can dump that point into Soulfire if you prefer. And you can even, I believe there's one more choice you could make here feasibly. Oh yeah, you could put 2 points into Eradication. And this will be even better, by the way, in the next patch, the patch that's currently on the PTR. As of right now, as of the time of recording this video, that patch is going to allow Eradication to be procced from landing a Shadow Ban on your targets, right? So you can just Shadow Ban 1 billion targets at once with your Mayhem proc, right? Shadow Ban 1 billion targets, suddenly they're all taking that extra 10% damage with 2 points in Eradication. So that could definitely be one to watch, dude. Alternatively, you could even dump it in Rain of Fire, if that's the way that you swing. Me personally, I think I quite like it in Master Ritualist. I like the extra, the 3 less soul shards required. But that is just me. I prefer playing with a pet, so Grim of Sac doesn't feel that natural to me. But that is the way that I would look to be playing this build. So, yeah. Bit of skirmish footage on screen right now. Just kind of showing it off. Why am I not playing it in solo shuffles? Well, I'm currently 2300 and I'll probably get my fucking ass kicked because I'm just not used to playing with the spec at all yet. It's something that I do have to practice a little bit. So, yeah. Quick skirmish clip here just to kind of show the build in action. And once this footage is done rolling out, we're going to move on to my very special hipster build. The one that I actually hit 2300 with on solo shuffles just the other day. Alright, and we have went ahead and switched over to the build that I have been playing pretty much since the expansion went live, with a few tweaks. So, if you prefer a more simple, old-school destro playstyle, if you don't feel ready to move over to the Havoc playstyle just yet, and you just want to be throwing out Chaos Bolts, pretty much, then, yeah, this is the build for you. So, the main tree is pretty much the same for me. No real differences to talk about over there, but on the destro tree itself, we do just go into the good old school Havoc. Nothing to really add to that. It's just the old school playstyle, right? We also go for an extra charge of Conflagrate instead, because we're not really relying on our fire damage so much here to be dealing the brunt of our damage. This is just a generate shards and impending ruin stacks as quickly as possible. That's all this build is. That's why we spec into Rain of Fire as well, so we can just dump soul shards quickly. The extra charge of Conflagrate allows us to build shards quickly. And so we're just trying to be a little bit of a soul shard engine and not really relying so much on things like the Immolate damage, not really relying so much on things like the Incinerated damage either. So we do only have 1 point of Burn to Ashes as well. So yeah, we go all the way into Master Ritualist, so it only takes 10 stacks of Impending Ruin to get that speedy cast Chaos Bolt. And we even dump a point in Avatar as well, just to help the shard generation. So this is just a Chaos Bolt Gatling gun spec, And that's really it. Now, is the spec stronger than the Mayhem build? Probably not, man. Probably not. No. It's not. But you know what? I'm much more comfortable playing it personally, and it's been working for me up until where I'm at right now. So that's grand. Will I be trying out the other build a bit more? Yeah, I will be. I will be trying out the Mayhem spec over the next week or two. See how it feels to me, see if I can get used to it. It feels like a big shift in playstyle. So if you're like me and, you know, say I end up being stubborn, it's a possibility you'll end up being stubborn too and won't want to switch over to the Mayhem build. This build actually works just fine, at least in my experience, even if it's not quite as powerful. If you're more comfortable playing this, then there you go, dude. This spec is for you. Alright, that is about gonna do it. Thanks for watching, everybody. Hope you all enjoyed this happy little talent video, this updated talent video, the ultimate Destro Warlock PvP talent video. Do make sure to drop a like on the video if you did enjoy it. I would appreciate that greatly. If you took something away from it, it would mean a lot. Thanks for watching, and I shall catch all of you guys just a tad bit later.